You know, I was the same way.
As long as the lady
I'm
doesn't
not
get
the
too
only
green.
one.
That's, yes. We actually have introductions of new staff members, and I will introduce you if you're okay. Hopefully I won't mess things up. But we have Felicia Meester. She's holding her daughter. She is going to be our new science teacher. And Nathan Bloom is new athletic director, social science for middle school and high school. Athena Snaza is one of our paraprofessionals for special ed. And Jessica Waschenberger, para for special ed. We'll also hopefully have the other new staff members come next month. I think we've got at least 3 more. So,
Okay.
welcome to the district. Thank
Yes,
you for coming.
welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate you guys all coming. Look forward to working with you all through the upcoming years, not just year. It's nice to see the faces, and I'm glad that you're able to step up and help out the district. And what I would encourage you is that we're a board that really likes to hear from people, and if you ever have a question, everybody that is on this board is very susceptible to having a conversation with you. So please don't ever be shy. Stop in and see us, and we look forward to talking with you.
So I didn't ask them to prepare a speech, but if you have anything you'd like to say, you're sure welcome to. And I did also tell them that, you know, once the introductions were done, they didn't have to stay for the meeting. If they had other things to do, they were welcome to go as well. So thank you for coming.
Does anybody want to say anything? Mr. Bloom, I may make you stay, I may make agenda. Thanks for showing up and reminding me that we wanted you on the agenda, Mr. Bloom.
No
So
problem, I can stick around as long as you need me.
if you don't mind, we might move,
That's fine.
add on just executive session for personnel, if you wouldn't mind staying. If I can get a motion to do that.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second, Marty. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. If you wouldn't mind staying for a couple minutes, that'd be great.
Yep.
Otherwise, ladies, thank you very much for coming, and that is one happy camper in the back.
Yeah.
I'll go home right there.
I look forward to being the new Meester in school, so.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Are you going by Mrs. Meester then throughout the whole entire year?
I guess.
Good luck. That'll be awesome for the kids.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did we get introduced to the other member that's here?
Oh, this is Lorelai.
And how old?
She'll be 5 months next
Oh,
week.
wow.
Pretty neat.
Thank you.
She's tall.
She is off the charts. She's gonna be
We
a
have an
volleyball player.
8-month-old granddaughter, and she's really tall compared to her.
Yeah, she's over 100% on the spectrum, so.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for
That's
coming.
what we
Yeah.
need.
Thank you.
Okay, conflicts disclosure?
Yes, we have 3 that need to be approved. It can be one motion. These are the annual disclosures. Mr. Black, he has a wife that's an employee. Martin Luenga has a wife that's an employee. And Tom Sanis, in case there's any, future items that pertain to one of his clients.
Okay. Could we have a motion to approve the conflicts? Thank you, Larry.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of our meeting of July 11th.
So moved.
Thank you, Marty. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the meeting from August 2nd.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second? Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the financial statements.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second, Joel. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the claims as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second, Marty. Discussion?
I didn't really see anything in there.
Felt it was your typical back to school, getting ready expense month.
Yep.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the 2022-2023 school handbook.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion.
This is for the middle school, high school handbook, and I can tell you that the changes that I have made in that are going to be very similar to what Mr. Case has for the elementary, and actually this is high school. He does middle school and elementary. I did provide on your tables a summary of the changes to the handbook, and basically I have it highlighted. That's not how we post it on the web page. We do not hand these out to the students individually any longer. It's available on the web page. Those that would like a copy can certainly have a copy. But just going through the summary of the items that I have, anything that has a date associated with it, obviously we update it to the current year. Directory information is one that's a little bit more specific. That's one of our policies at the back of the handbook. Parents have the right to withhold their students' directory information. If they choose to do that, they have to notify the district by September 9th, 2022, and that's just a corresponding date each year for the calendar. So that's a very specific date. I removed anything regarding makeup slips. Now you might be wondering why we did that, but we actually eliminated makeup slips 2 years ago with COVID, just because it was more you touch, I touch, everybody touches type of thing, and so we haven't had makeup slips for 2 school years now, and we have some issues with that because there are some kids that I think work better with an actual physical makeup slip than others do, but because of what we're doing and what we have been doing for the last 2 years, we figured we would just eliminate the makeup slips continue doing. The process that we do right now is any students in middle school and high school, which is where the makeup slips were used, they need to correspond with their staff or their teacher themselves. And I'm not sure about the 6th grade, how much they use the Google Classroom. I know they do use it, but at the 7th through 12, basically all lessons, materials, anything that the students would need is in their Google Classroom. And so they actually have access to it before they're gone, before they know they're gonna be gone. And so it's just a matter of reminding the students that they're responsible to correspond with the teachers to make sure that they get their work done. Nothing's changed with our policy as to how many days they get for the number of days they've been absent, that type of stuff. So that's where most of the highlighting is in the front. It looks like I've had a lot of changes, but it's dealing with makeup work and the actual makeup slips themselves.
So in essence, that puts a little more accountability on the students.
It does, and I can tell you, we've been doing it for 2 years. Unfortunately, we still have that concern that the accountability being placed on the students isn't always, doesn't always follow through the way it should. But that's reality. That's one of the lessons that we're trying to teach to students as well, is that ultimately it's their responsibility. I do have that 3rd bullet there, peanut sensitive policy. I just put a question mark there. We haven't had that issue where, according to our policy, it has peanut sensitive, which means we refrain from having an excess of peanuts and peanut butter and things like that within the school, but we haven't had an issue with anybody having an allergy. This kind of came into play probably over a decade ago when we had a student that had a very severe allergy to peanuts. And so I didn't know if we want to address it, but it's in there just kind of as a reminder. Prom attendance, I thought I took care of everything that we needed to last year for alternative education. As you recall, any students who were homeschooled the state of South Dakota a year ago, and so in July of 2021, the law changed to allow students to participate in any activity, even if they're homeschooled. And so they can participate in our sports, they can go on field trips, they can participate in the prom. That was an area when I was reading through the policy or the handbook, I realized that I didn't address prom attendance with that particular change in law. And so we would have certainly allowed anybody that was a homeschool student that wanted to go to the prom last year, because the law would expect that. But the wording wasn't changed, so I've got that wording changed in there this year. We reversed the roles for 504 coordinator and Title IX director. Mentioned this last month when we were doing all our designations at the July meeting. This is due to how the process of a sexual harassment complaint needs to be followed. I cannot serve as both the disciplinarian if it's a staff member that needs to have some sort of a suspension or something, as well as the investigator. So Mr. Case, the elementary principal, will be the Title IX director, and I will be the 504. We've just reversed those 2 roles to balance things out and address that process. And then I've also included the link to the Title IX sexual harassment policy in our handbooks. It's on our webpage. We're following the guidelines that we understand and know that we need to for notifications, but it was an additional thing that I wanted to make sure we did this year, is to include it in our handbooks as well. That's what I have for changes. Any questions or suggestions or any? I do have copies of this. I can email it to you if you'd like to read them more thoroughly. They're always available. There hasn't been a lot of changes. I guess I don't have any other suggestions as to policies I think we need to get rid of or policies that we need to implement. It's kind of an ongoing process from year to year. And typically, when I come forward with a policy that I would suggest, it's because we've had some issue come up that we need to now make sure we have in our policy manual.
Didn't we do a deep dive into it 5-6 years ago?
Yeah,
I think we did.
we started our policy manual. It's already been a decade ago. We started that in 2012, and we've been rotating through those policies and addressing the ones that we need to. The handbooks themselves, it's been 5 or 6 years since we've really done a deep look on them. So.
Any other thoughts, questions for Dr. Block? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve out-of-district busing agreement, and I believe this would be with Langford, Groton, and Waubee, and we have a letter from Waubee, correct, Dr.
Yes.
Buck?
And I did receive correspondence from the other two districts, I just didn't get a letter from them, but they've either addressed it or will be addressing it at their board meetings tonight. Kind of a reciprocal agreement that, you know, we go into Bristol, which is in the Groton area district, and we can pick up kids there. Groton doesn't have a reciprocal agreement with us because I don't think they pick up in the Webster district, but both Langford and Waubee do. Langford area goes into Roslyn, we go into Eden, vice versa, and Waubee comes here, and we go into Waubee. And Summit is also included in that, but it's not a reciprocal agreement because we don't transport any students from the Summit district. An annual requirement, I was just talking to Lori briefly about this. It's really kind of, I understand that they have to have the law in place and put some guidelines in place, but it really is just a formality, because if we really don't agree with something, or another district doesn't agree with how we're doing things, it basically goes to the Department of Ed, and the Secretary of Ed will make the decision. I have an email from the superintendent from Britain, because Britain and they're not having issues with each other, but those two districts have some questions about whether they can say yes or no to things, and I've just provided them with some guidance to say that, well, you can certainly deny something, but I can tell you where the results are probably going to go. So it's a formality.
So Summit is included in that?
Summit is. Yeah, I send what I do from our end of things, and I've been doing this for years. I send a letter to all four of those districts and just state that this is a reciprocal agreement. If we come into your district, you're certainly welcome to come into ours, and we approve it in that sense, unless you guys decide otherwise as a school board.
All right, discussion?
We're just gonna keep all four this time and save the hassle.
That's your call, gentlemen. I think we've done it for how many years? It's been.
Yeah. I know our rationale was it wasn't a bordering district.
Correct.
And I stand behind that rationale. I mean, I understand that our vote really doesn't matter here, but
I agree, it's not a bordering district. We can't deny it, but it's not a bordering district.
Okay.
So we did 3 and then the 1?
Well, right now, I think I initially announced it as just the original 3, and then Jim threw in the curve that says he does have the one from Summit. So what I will do is, since we had the motion and the second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't have Summit.
Summit's not in.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's my mistake, not theirs.
That'll work out all right. So right now, I've got Langford, Waubee, and Groton on the block. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. Motion to approve the out-of-district busing agreement with Summit.
You need a motion, right?
Yeah.
So move. Same as last year.
All right, second?
Second.
All right, second. Discussion?
Same rationale, it's not a bordering district.
All right.
We should be buttering them up though now. New CTE, maybe we'll attract more to come.
Still not a bordering district.
All right. Well, since I have a feeling it won't be a unanimous vote, we'll go around the horn. Aaron?
Yes.
Marty? Joel?
No.
Larry?
No.
No. So we have a 4-1 vote. I'm sure you'll get your nasty gram promptly, and the matter will be resolved. Thank you to the Department of Education, State of South Dakota for,
For putting us in this position.
yes, I agree. Neighboring districts, it is one thing.
But when you're jumping over another district, come into another district, that's one of the problems with this open enrollment.
Matter of principle.
Doesn't sit well with me.
I will say this, and I'm not defending the Department of Ed or throwing them under the bus, what a pun. But I will say this, it's legislation that we're following.
Sure.
And so the Department of Ed is kind of in the same boat we're in, is they've got to figure out, okay, how do we get kids to the schools that they want to attend? And so I'm not
So if
saying
our
their hands are tied,
legislators
but.
are reading, if our legislators are reading the newspaper, maybe they'd like to visit with us about it.
Mhm.
Because since I've been on the school board, I have yet to see any of our legislators at a meeting. I've never had communication with them. Maybe they'll reach out.
Candidates change each week, so.
All right, well, moving on. Do I need to do individual on each contract? Probably.
We have open enrollment first.
Sorry about that, thanks. Motion to approve open enrollments 2307 and 2308.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Individual motions.
Now on contracts. Motion to approve the contract for Jessica Waschenberger as a paraprofessional.
So moved.
Thank you, Marty. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Matt Bumgarn for junior high football.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Athena Snaza as a paraprofessional.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Kalen Poole as football cheerleading advisor.
So moved.
Thank you, Aaron. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Candace Bloom as an art teacher.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? I'll just bring up,
Questions or?
yeah, Candace Bloom, so where are we at? What-
So Candace is a non-certified teacher, and so we have applied for, it's called a performing arts permit, which allows you to have folks within your community that don't have a teaching degree to serve in teaching positions in either vocal, instrumental, or art positions. And so we're waiting to hear from the Department of Ed on that. She is working, or she has the majority of a bachelor's degree completed, and so the goal will be, if this is approved, to have her complete a Bachelor of Arts in art education. It will take a little bit longer than your normal 2 years for alternative certification. Probably could be 3, maybe a little bit longer, but it just depends on what the university will require for what she has for credits completed already and credits that she needs to take, so that's where we're at with it.
Any other comments for Dr. Block or questions?
So going into the school year, do we have all of our positions filled?
Yes.
That's
Well,
great.
with the
Good
exception
job.
of paraprofessional.
We could use
still
another
could use
para.
one more para, possibly 2.
I would say the administration's done a heck of a good job finding people and, really qualified people, and good job. Had your work cut out for you this summer.
Yeah, there was a few more than we were hoping for, but it's come together. I keep saying this every year. I think there's truly some luck involved, and some of it's based on our location, people coming back, people wanting to live in this area, people that are looking outside of or thinking outside the box for opportunities. And so we've been very fortunate with our alternative certification process here. And I'm hoping that Candace will be another success
Yeah.
in that story.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Block. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve Chelsea Larson,
Yearbook advisor?
yearbook advisor. Thank you.
I can't read my notes.
I cannot.
Sorry.
Thank you, Larry. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion?
That was vacated due to our art teacher resigning and going to Watertown High School. She had only had it for one year. Jenna Sinner did have it for probably a decade or more. And I did reach out to her to see if she was interested in it. She's starting her master's degree and thought maybe that wouldn't be the best thing to do, to jump back into that. she would have helped us out if we wouldn't have found somebody. So I extended the offer to the on-staff people, and Chelsea said that she's got 4 years of experience and said she would be willing to try it. A lot of it is online. It's not like, well, I'm older here, but the olden days when you used to actually develop your film, cut and paste it onto the graph paper, it's nothing like that. Everything is very automated. It's all digital photos, and they create the pages on computers. So she believes that she can handle that duty. She's done it before in that manner. So
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to approve the TASC plan document.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Marty. Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, motion to open the surplus property bids.
So moved.
Thank you, Larry. Second, Joel. Discussion? Gentlemen, I think now is the time that we've advertised for opening the surplus property for, I'm not gonna rattle off the legal description off the top of my head because I don't remember it, but I have 2 bids here. One received, I'll open them in the order they were received, on July 27th, 2022. Nice letter opener I have. Very professional.
Pretty well, didn't I?
It's the same one I carry.
Yes, it is a good one. Okay, so I have a bid from Kirsten Liebert of Waubay, South Dakota. I wish to submit a bid of $10,000 for the property located at the northeast corner of the northwest quarter of Section 26, Township 120, Range 55 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, described as Lot H-1 and the north 20 rods of the east 16 rods. Okay. Thank you. And then I have another bid received on July 29th, 2022. Bid on the northeast corner of the northwest quarter of Section 26, Township 120, Range 55 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, particularly described as Lot H1 and the north 20 rods of the east 16 rods thereof. I bid $5,550. Thank you, Dustin Davis of Waubay, South Dakota. So gentlemen, we have 2 bids, with the high bid being $10,000. I would move that, or I would say we had a motion to open the bids. Do I have a motion to accept the bid of $10,000 of Kirsten Liebert, and to instruct our business manager to contact our school attorney, Rodney Freeman, to take the necessary steps to transfer said property? Thank you, Marty. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Aaron.
Did we have an appraisal on that?
We did by 3 local taxpayers.
And this satisfies that need?
Yes, it surpasses that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Just so I do not misplace any of this, I'm giving this right back to you before I mess that up. I will keep everything together.
Back in the envelope.
Well, I'm putting it with the paper clip, trying to put it back in the envelope, I could mess that up too.
Okay.
All right.
I don't suppose you'd like to know what the Liebert family would like to do with this excess property?
Well, I tell you what, usually we don't do anything, but we got a couple minutes. If you want, I'll give you the floor for a couple minutes.
Eddie Hinsey was a dear friend of ours. He was very important. Now that my husband is back here more often, he's a retired lieutenant colonel, but very introverted, but Eddie brought him out of his shell and would take him places. And my husband knew everything that was going on, and if Eddie didn't know the answer, he would make up the answer. Now, when Eddie passed away 2 years ago, my husband took it very hard. We all did, but my husband took it very hard. Now, Ron doesn't know anything about anything because Eddie's not there to tell him what's going on. So we're just going to, at first I thought the schoolhouse wasn't worth anything, but my husband said, oh no, I can paint it. We want to make it pretty, just paint it and do something nice and do something with all the implements that are on the property, if you're aware that there's a lot of things on the property. So,
Well, yeah, thank you very much, very kind of you, and thank you very much for your bid. And good luck, I hope you enjoy it.
thank you.
I will call Freeman tomorrow. And
Okay.
they'll
No,
let you
remember,
know.
I'm going to San Francisco for 4 days, so
Oh,
please,
yeah, don't worry about it.
we've got plenty of time.
Yep.
Okay, if we could be excused.
Yes, you may.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You're good.
And thank you very much for taking my offer.
You bet, thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to approve the high school student counselor advisory position.
You're welcome.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Larry. Discussion?
As you recall, I brought this to your attention probably the last 2-3 months. And I mentioned last month that I was at an amount of about $580. I have no idea if this does justice to the position, but this is a new position. And so I believe with what we have for responsibilities throughout the school year in comparison to schools similar in size, that's the amount that I came up with.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Motion to declare surplus property as little to no value. 14 desktops, 87 Chromebooks, 6 monitors, 30 laptops, 40 speaker systems, 2 splitter boxes, 28 headphones, 3 monitors, and 1 digital display. And a partridge in a pear tree.
So moved.
Thank you, Joel. Second?
Second.
Thank you, Aaron. Discussion. Good luck. I hope we get bids just like we received on the last property. You've got your work cut out, kind of set yourself with a standard here, Lori, so we're gonna ask you to exceed that. All right, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Motion to approve a long-term sub-waiver, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. Marty looked up, so he's got the first, second.
Second.
Thank you, Joel. Discussion.
This is something that actually came up last year. I think the Department of Ed had been reviewing their administrative rules and learned that long-term sub definition is actually listed at 45 consecutive school days. And so anything beyond that is called a long-term sub, and you're supposed to have a certified substitute. Well, as you know, not all of our substitutes are certified, and even when we do have certified substitutes, they don't always show interest in subbing long-term in particular areas or particular grade levels. And so I have to submit, I'm actually a little bit behind on this, and I'm going to tell you the reason being is I just learned about it about 2 weeks ago. We have an elementary staff member that's going to be gone for maternity leave sometime in the fall, and we have a substitute. Mr. Case has gone through his process to determine who's willing, who's not, and who he can gain for this. And so we have Jelani Zakruski. I went back in history there. She said she would be willing to do that, but she's not a certified teacher, and so we have to have an application for a waiver in place with the state because the anticipated dates are going to be longer than the 45 days. And so these are supposed to be submitted 60 days prior to the date of substituting. But it's allowable if you have situations like this where perhaps the timing didn't work in our favor. So that's what it's for. There is a second long-term possibility in the spring, and it's possibly going to be Jelani for that one as well, but I'm still working on some details with that. But first and foremost is for this one in the fall. So I have the waiver all typed out and ready to go, If you guys say yes to it, I'll have to have Tom sign it, and then we attach the minutes to this particular meeting saying that we've approved on our behalf as a school district and school board, that we're okay with that. And then the Department of Ed will have to approve it or disapprove.
Okay, any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, discussion item, superintendent report, Dr. Block.
I don't have a terrible long list. We have in-service coming up, we're getting ready for school, it's right around the corner. I believe football's been underway for, how many days?
It's Thursday.
So, since last Thursday, volleyball starts in 2 days, I think. And so, things are going to get going. We do have a full day of training for our paraprofessionals, and it's behavioral management training. I think it's gonna be valuable training. We have a gentleman from Southwest West Central Cooperative in Minnesota. His name is Jason Dibsetter, and he's one of a few specialists that they have within their co-op that deals with behavioral management with students that are challenging. And I know that he's been a valuable asset to our district in the number of days and hours that we contract through our special services co-op. But he's going to do an all-day in-service with the paras the 18th, which is a Thursday. And then our second contracted day of in-service is on Monday, the 22nd. The teachers will have time to work in their classrooms, prepare for the back-to-school barbecue, and then we have that back-to-school barbecue that evening. On Wednesday, the 17th is a voluntary situation. This is one of the things that I like to allow our staff to have the opportunity to go to without conflicting with our in-service days, which I'm just gonna say that's what caused some of the conflict with our calendar from the get-go. I didn't have the established date from Northern State until after we had approved our calendar. I try to use corresponding days, but they don't always work that way. And so that's a volunteer day. We are asking our new teachers and our new paras, some of the folks that you met this evening, to come in on Tuesday, the 16th, from 9 until 11. We go through a brief orientation, kind of tell them about what the policies and procedures are with respect to the business office, the regular office, discipline, dress code, all of those types of things. And so that will happen that Tuesday. That's actually the first day that we'll have anything. We will do some training on the Title IX sexual harassment policy, just as a hopefully a good review. We don't have any brand new teachers that are right out of college, and our folks that are new to education, I'll use Candace as an example. I'm sure she's had a fair amount of Title IX training with respect to the military positions that she's held. She's not in the military, but she's certainly worked with the military policies and procedures. So, and the last thing that I have on my superintendent's report is an athletic co-op conversation. I briefly mentioned this to Nathan Bloom, and this really just came to me, I think it was last week, via text from the Florence superintendent. Just sent me a text out of the blue and just said, "Did you ever consider a cooperative discussion for girls softball and wrestling?" And I didn't reply to him, and he sent it about 4 days later and said, "No reply." I was busy doing some other things, and so I did eventually call him and talk to him. He's got some interest in girls softball, but it's not enough interest to start their own team, to be able to man their own team. And so then he was thinking, well, maybe we need to start looking at some districts that were within driving distance to see if there's some conversation. And then he said wrestling is not a part of the Florence Henry programs at all, and hasn't probably ever been. And so he thought, if you're going to have discussions, maybe they'd look at that, because they do have a few students that have interest in wrestling. So this is very, very early on. There hasn't been any conversation other than he and I sharing a text and a phone conversation about this. I just wanted you folks to be kind of aware of it and let Nathan know that there could be some continuing conversation and maybe even some deeper discussion that we might look at something. So with that, if you have any questions or comments or concerns or initial issues, You can share those with me now so that I can either try to address them or at least have them noted as things move forward, if they do move forward.
We just need more information, I think.
Yeah, and we've got great facilities. It's interesting to hear. I know that the softball, question has been talked about in the past, even just from our community, so that's interesting. And
Nathan, do you have numbers on softball within the NEC?
Yeah, so NEC, we just had our NEC meeting this morning, and Millbank is going full bore. They're gonna have a JV varsity. And other than them, Clark was going to, and now they backed out due to lack of interest. And Britain had some moderate interest, and Sisseton kind of had some moderate interest, but they kind of want to start at a JV level first, just to see if it takes off. And most of their interested students were younger, kind of that 7 through 10 grade level. And so if they can get it off the ground, then they'd probably get more teams in this area, but as of right now, it's only Millbank, and he said he's only found 2 other schools within relative distance to make a schedule with, so it's not impossible, but it's gonna be, there's a lot of things that have to work out with it, I think. Millbank's pretty fortunate, they already found coaching and everything too, so they're kind of, I guess they can kind of be the guinea pig for this area, and we can see how they do with it. But he's worried there's gonna be some travel involved, Mr. Schooler over there. He thinks they're gonna have to go a long way for ball games.
So I don't recall if you and I had this discussion, but correct me if I'm wrong, but if we were looking at doing a co-op with a couple of NEC teams in order to make a team, would we remain at our classification level, or any ideas on that?
I don't know how they're gonna classify. It's probably gonna be a 2-class, I would assume, in time. I don't think they'll have enough teams for it. I think they're gonna model it sort of like soccer. And if you look at soccer in our state, Groton's kind of the outlier, where they're a little bit smaller school. If you take Groton out of it, it's all really big schools that have it. And I think that's kind of the way softball's gonna be. That's my feeling. So I don't know what the correct answer there is. I'm not sure. I don't know.
What would be the dates and length of season?
It's gonna be a relatively short season in the spring. So the trouble is you might be stealing your track athletes, your golfers, unless they can work it out where they can coexist, I guess. But and I'm not opposed to that. If we need the athletes, as long as the coaches are on board. I've never been opposed to being in more than one sport at one time, but I know there's some things to work out there. But it's a short season. I think they're looking at kind of that May into June area right now.
Is there a regional or state competition?
Yeah, they'll have a state competition. It'll be, it's state sanctioned. It'll be through them. Another thing you're gonna see is they're gonna compete with some of the club fast pitch girls, things that have been around forever. Your AAUs, your traveling teams, stuff like that. A lot of those clubs are not gonna be very happy that this went through, I think, and is sort of, poaching their athletes away from them. So there's that too, and I can see that coming down the tracks here with baseball, if and when they finally get baseball pushed through. We're one of the few states in the country that doesn't have high school baseball, but when the Legion programs are so strong, and some of your Legion Teeners, things like that, DFW clubs, those things they're pretty well established. So you're fighting them. That's kind of, I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes for Millbank. I think they're gonna sort of be the.
They might win a state championship.
They could, yeah.
Is there much interest in Webster, do you think?
Yeah, there's interest, but how much, if you send out a survey, it seems like you'll get 25 people, yep, and then the first day of practice comes and there's 12.
Right.
And you wanna be viable, that's the old argument too with football. How many does it take to have a team? Well, I don't know, softball you probably need 16 to 18 committed players. And I don't know that we have that. Probably not on our own. You might have 7 or 8 really hardcore softball players, but that doesn't make a team.
And that's why I asked the question, you know, if we had 2 or 3 from Webster and 2 or 3 from Clark and somehow
Yeah,
made some agreement, and then you
Yeah,
gotta go
then-
play Sioux Falls, Washington or something.
It's not
It's
impossible.
probably not gonna go well. You never know, but that's why there's classifications.
All right, anything else under the superintendent's report, Dr. Block?
That is all I have, unless you have any questions.
Okay. Principal report, Mr. Casey's in
He
Germany?
is actually, no, he's probably on a bus right now on the way back from the cities. I do believe they flew in late this afternoon, so, yeah.
Give him a
he
pass
will.
if he's on a bus. All right, NESC.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to report.
Okay,
It was their July meeting, they went through a lot of their typical designations and things like that, so.
buildings and grounds, anything happening?
Well, there's things happening, you can, I mean, if you walk through the building, you can see that there's been quite a bit of construction. They have pretty much demolished the high school office and cut holes in the floor for, I believe, sewer and water lines. So they're moving along with that. Haven't seen anything installed with respect to like pumps and boilers and things like that, but
Did we ever get the second boiler yet?
we have 2 boilers here, and it's a good question, I'm glad you asked that. I'm not sure who was here, I think it was Redlingers that were here, and they actually went out and checked out the boiler. There is it GNR, I think is doing something with, GNR is similar to like a Johnson Controls, and they were gonna have their engineers take a look at, there was like a damaged valve, or it was slightly bent. From what they gathered in just looking at it initially, they believe that it can be straightened without sending the entire boiler back, and they'll do some sort of specs and tests on it to make sure that it's still under warranty and all that stuff, so it doesn't sound like it's gonna have to go back. But I honestly don't have a clarification or verification on that, so.
There's a construction meeting tomorrow.
11 a.m.
I believe they discussed that at the last one a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I was out of state for the last one, so.
Yeah, there was
Things going all right, Larry?
yeah, they were just, everybody getting their feet wet.
Okay. I just think it's interesting, and so are the ceiling tiles gonna be out for a lot of the school year?
They will be for a portion of this fall, and they legally have to contact the fire marshal and let them know. So anytime you have construction like this, where you have situations like that, it's typically approved on a temporary basis with the fire marshal's office knowing that. So.
Just, it's interesting when you walk down the hall,
Yeah.
and of course you see all of the standard electrical and plumbing lines, heating, air conditioning, but then when you see all of how many wires are there for our school to be connected. I mean, it just amazes you, the interconnectivity between the school. I don't know how anybody can keep track if there's one wire that doesn't work in that, miles it appears to be a wire. If you get a chance to come into the school this year, take a look at that, and because sometimes people say, well, why is the school different than it was 20 to 30 years ago? You just would be amazed with just that one visual example, so.
That's a good point.
Okay, anything else on buildings and grounds?
No, not unless you have questions.
Motion to approve, move into executive session for personnel with our good old athletic director.
Next meeting?
Next meeting will be September, is that actually September 11th or
It's 12th.
12th?
That's
September
the second
12th?
Monday.
Yep.
Sounds good?
Yep.
Good. All right, September 12th, 7 PM.
So moved.
Thanks, Joel. Second, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign, motion carries. All right, thanks for coming. Nice to see you, man.
Welcome.
So you get to be our new permanent,
We'll see here how it works out. John's out of town today, so I just said, well, I guess I'll get the short straw.
you got the long straw, here, come on, hey,
There we go.
come in to hang out with us, look how